My hot take was that guys should always pay on the first date. And he said,
oh, please. It's time. It's 2025. It's time for women to stop bucking up. Half of them make more money than we do. What are we doing here?
so crazy.
You know, women burn their bras to make sure they can pay for dinner for guys. And now you want guys to pay for you?
You have it so wrong. Who is burning their bras so that they can pay dinner for a guy?
Somebody did, because that's what happened in the 60s. They all burned their bras so you can pay.
Not to pay dinner for other men.
Yes, what are the reasons?
You are so... Who's Daniel Stump?
Okay, we're live.
I don't know, but shout out.
Well, wait on. This is a very special episode of Kicking and Screaming. Normally we talk about sports and random stuff happening throughout the week. But you know what I said? We need to talk about dating. Because I feel like we always go back to dating, even when we talk about sports. So obviously, the three of us, not qualified. Ben Hart, qualified, dating coach, strategist, author of The Zero Mindset. Thank you for being here with us. This is our therapy session with you.
I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is a pleasure.
Okay, so we're coming off that clip where me and Lou were going back and forth on women should not have to pay for the first date.
And obviously, I was right. So what do you think?
Oh, you were right.
I think so.
Right. What kind of? Okay.
I think so.
So here's the thing. I'm going to disagree with you.
Thank you.
I actually think I think it's right off the bat, of course. This is just my opinion, right? Because here's the thing. You could take the stance. You could say, hey, listen, I think we should go 50-50, but I just feel like this is the quickest way to dry the well.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Now you can take the stance. You can take the stance.
We don't know what you mean. Please explain.
Yeah, you can take the stance, but I do believe that is going to be a trigger to turn her off and not turn her on, about like from an attraction standpoint.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so when we're dating 2025, I know you're not dating anymore.
No, I'm done with dating. There's a reason I'm done dating, so I'm done paying. If I'm
Yeah.
done dating, I'm done paying.
No, because you should date your wife.
That is
You
actually
should
true.
date your wife.
I'm done paying. I paid enough.
Okay, so we're talking about dating here, especially in New York City. And I know you're New York, born and raised, New York area, born and raised. What have you found, like the intricacies of dating here in New York? What are people complaining about the most?
New York's different, right? So I talk to people from, like, honestly, weirdly enough, on my TikTok lives, there's people coming from all over the world. But New York specifically, when I talk to people, it's a different mindset here because not anywhere, a lot of other places other than big cities in this country, you can kind of go around and people are a little more friendly. They'll look up and they'll say hi and like enjoy your day. People here are like, don't talk to me until I want to be talked to. So it's like a weird little thing. And my part of my shtick is like, relax. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Saying hi is not that big of a deal. No one's relax. Like, you get out of your own way. Sometimes it's worth just being pleasant. So I just feel like we've gotten away from that in New York.
Oh, are you saying
Everybody's
us
pretty
New
hard.
Yorkers are not pleasant?
Yes.
Us New York women are not pleasant?
Say yes.
Yes.
No,
Just say yes.
Well, what about
Say
for
yes.
dating?
Yes.
You think it's a dog-eat-dog world or what?
I think it's a different world. It depends, right? In big cities, specifically one like New York or Chicago, LA, Miami, there's phases that women and men go through that are different phases.
You know-
go
ahead. Sorry. Go
No, I was going to say, like, I think there becomes a moment where women say, I'm ready. And at that moment, sometimes they look at their counterparts and they say, why isn't he ready? And he's facing a different phase of his life, where for the first time in his life, he's seen as a committable option, not just for people around his group, but people also younger than him he doesn't have a problem with. So I think that there's a weird conflict when it comes to that. So a lot of women are saying, well, what's going on with the guys that are around my age?
Yeah.
And they say, I get it. Maybe they're not up to par for you. Maybe they don't want to commit. Maybe they're this and that. And I always say date older.
You know,
I think they have Peter Pan syndrome.
Ooh.
I think a lot of men in New York have Peter Pan syndrome.
Which men?
A lot of them, and even like I don't know. It's easy to have fun here, but you see men in their 40s, and you're like, maybe you should calm down a little.
I don't disagree
and
with you on
maybe
that. I don't disagree on that.
focus on something and commitment but they're like, there's so many fish in the sea.
But then they shouldn't get entertained then.
You know, you brought up the fact.
Why do they get entertained? Let's talk about that. Why do they get entertained?
The breakdown is because there's way more women than there are men here in New York City.
Okay.
They are going to just get entertained regardless because there's way more women. There's too many options. So we're all trying to find someone, and we're competing against thousands and millions of other women trying to do the same thing.
Right. That's fair, but out of all the men, how many men do you typically turn down? Majority or a minority? Out of 20, how many would you turn down?
Wow, 20 is a high number.
Out of 10, how many
10
would you
is a
turn
high
down?
number.
No,
What?
stop it.
I'm serious. This is how it works here in New York City. Guys don't approach you. You have to actively be on dating apps to let's go on the date. Let me tell you about my life. And sometimes you get burned out from that.
Sure.
So when you're out, and this comes to what you said about maybe trying to make eye contact, trying to be more friendly, but guys don't approach women like they used to.
Yeah,
That's my
true.
experience. I don't think that's her experience. That is not her. She has a completely different experience.
What's
than
your
me.
experience, Liv?
Well, I get approached quite often. I don't know. Maybe it's my height. I stick out like a sore thumb. But you guys, I'm taken, so I have to turn down every man. But if I was single,
Sure.
I would still probably turn down a very solid amount.
Is it
of
because
them.
you're looking down at them?
Yes, because of
That's what it
that.
is. You
Because
have
of
to
that
do it.
as
That's what it
well.
is.
Yeah,
You know, you brought
factor.
up the point about New York and the other places. That's been that way forever. I remember in the '80s, we did a couple of trips. We went out to California for a job. We've been out to San Francisco, San Diego,
those women
LA.
out there.
Yeah, a long time. But you know what? I found that women were much more friendlier in California,
Sure.
San Diego especially, San Francisco. There was no problem talking. You can give me the face all you want. I'm just going to go by experience. And then you came back here, and it was frozen fish. I mean, literally, frozen fish. And you guys, right when I said, no, they were much friendlier, more open to talk, more open for strangers. I mean, we were out of towners, and they were great. And then you come back here, and they don't want to talk. I find that a lot.
Yeah, and I think
And I'm going back, so I don't think it's changed much.
fair. I think the timing is also very different. This day and age, the last 15 years, dating and meeting people has changed drastically. So I think maybe back in the day when like your prime, when your prime way to meet people is your social skills and your ability to be open and saying hi, maybe it was very different. Whereas now, people don't meet each other in public as much anymore.
Why?
Because they find it, one, it's more fearful for them. They're afraid of rejection or taking an L. And two, it's just easier to see somebody and spot them and try to find them on Instagram.
So that thing you're sitting on is the biggest reason why.
Yeah.
Your cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
In
the
my
cell
opinion,
phone
I
has
think so.
changed dating.
Yes.
And dating apps have changed dating.
Analysis paralysis, perceived level of options that maybe aren't real options, but they're perceived options. And it's just the grass is always potentially greener. And is this the best I can get? It's just 100%.
So is it better or worse?
Worse.
Worse.
Okay, that's it.
Are you approached? Do you have women approaching you? Really?
Never.
I used to
Never
always
in my
approach.
life. Never in my life.
Okay,
I've
what
had maybe one woman ever maybe approach me in public
What is your
Wow.
take
in my whole life.
on
And I've been in New
women-
York for like 20 years.
But when a woman approaches you, are you like, very cool, I like this, or I don't like this because I'm not chasing?
Well,
I'm
it's
not
only
pursuing.
happened one time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I can only speak in theory at this point.
Yeah, in theory, if a woman approached you.
Oh, I mean, depending on how it happened, like, if she came off nice and friendly, I'd be like, oh, this is so unique.
And that's the same thing
It's
with men,
so
though.
interesting. 100%.
It depends on how they approach you.
Totally agree.
Okay, so I guess for the women out there watching, tips on how to approach men, because as of right now, the men ain't approaching us,
Sure.
unless you're Liv.
Sure.
So what?
Sure.
And
Unless
she's
you're the-
lying, by the way.
You're the outliner.
And that's why I said PES. I start this thing PES, which is proximity, eye contact, smile, because they can't even look at guys they like. Listen, I speak to women. I speak to maybe directly like 80 to 100 women a week, every week for like a year now. And I've been doing that live stream, from the live streams of my one-on-ones or everything. And they're like, a lot of them are petrified to look at the guys they like. They don't really have a problem looking at the guys they don't like, but like making eye contact with the guys they like is like, I couldn't do that. And it's like,
Well, that's a confidence thing.
It's also fear of rejection too.
well, yeah, it's right. Both
Which
of
is
those,
confidence,
right?
which
It's
is also
But confidence, because you shouldn't, if you're really confident, if someone rejects you, you're like, all right, I'm not their cup of tea. Move along.
And
But if
it's-
you're petrified
right.
of rejection, then that comes down
Well,
to
it's the same.
confidence.
What you guys just said is the same thing. Fear of rejection is confidence. When you have the fear of rejection, you don't have the confidence to take the shot and not care if he says no.
So all in all, I think New York has that problem. I think that there's a lot of like shell up here, look down. Everything could be a problem or perceived as an L. Like, they don't even want to look at guys if they don't do anything about it. It's like, what does that do to me? And I have to think about this for the next 2 days. Yeah. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. You're a human being. Like, stop telling the story that it's supposed to be this romantic like thing that just like manifested itself. In reality, you're just being a pleasant person. Just look at people.
Being a pleasant person.
Wow, that doesn't exist in this city.
I want to get the backstory on how you got so just popular on social media in terms of telling women how to date better. Like, where did this happen, and how did this happen?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I start off in like the personal development. Well, I start off in the startup world, and then I had this personal development realm, which is I had a book called The Zero Mindset, and then I kind of scoped it down to dating, and I didn't ever want it to be that guy. I was like, I don't want to be that guy that talks about dating, ever. It was just never something I saw myself doing. And then, but I was always very passionate about it. I'd always have conversations with people about it. I'd always listen to people when I was at dinner. I'd hear like the girls talking next to me, and I'd be like, it's so interesting how they talk about this.
Yeah.
So it was always around me, and I had like a keen ear to like interest. Like it was just like an interest, and I always had it. And I had my own dating experience over here for the last number of years, 20 years. So I kind of formulated that, and part of the narrative was like, all right, let me just go on TikTok and the playground. It was a playground because nobody really knew me on TikTok.
Yeah.
Whereas on Instagram, you kind of feel like your family, friends, and people you've worked with in the past. So TikTok was like a playground. I was like, let me just throw some shit that I want to talk about. So I started doing that, and then my first one kind of hit. It got like tens of thousands, and I was like, oh, okay. So I just quadrupled down, and I did like 5 or 6 a day for like 6 months.
Oh my God.
And then, but the narrative that I would always come at it from, that I maybe resonated with people more, I talk to the camera, to women like they would be my sister. So it's kind of like I always refresh back. I say, would I say this to my sister? And how would I say it? So it doesn't feel like I'm saying it to get something from it. I'm not. Like if you feel
more men should do that, by the way.
Right.
Talk to you like they're talking to their sister?
No,
you want to be their sister?
Maybe in the beginning, no, but like in a just the respect and like the way they treat, or even like before they ghost someone. Would I want another man to do this to my sister?
Yeah,
something like that.
You keep using woman. I mean, you're a dating person. Do you have any men at all that touch base with you about wanting to get dating? I mean, men need dating tips as much as women do.
Yeah, maybe even more sometimes, right?
I think more.
They do, but a lot of men are a little bit more like insecure about asking and needing help in that regard, because it almost makes them feel a little bit less. So they're a little less hesitant. I've done plenty of sessions with men, but it's also very different in a way. But they're a little more hesitant. Maybe socially too. They're afraid to like accept like, oh, I need assistance in this. And part of the reason for that is that if they need assistance, like how would girls look at them if they need assistance in it? It's like
a great thing. That is a great thing.
It is a great thing. I would agree with you. But I just think it's
an ego thing. It's an ego thing for a lot of guys.
It totally is an ego thing. Totally an ego thing.
You don't know. It's an ego
I'm telling you, me and ChatGPT, my favorite therapist. I mean, I swear, more guys, if you don't want to tell anyone, if you don't get help, you go ChatGPT. I'm telling you, help you with all your problems. Help me with all my problems.
How often do you use ChatGPT for this?
Too much. I've never ever opened ChatGPT. She's everything.
It's a little bit. It's kind of bad.
Oh, so like
it's like outfit ideas. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes I go in there and I'm like, can you look at this conversation that I had with this person? Give me the backstory on like what they're actually feeling behind these words.
Oh my God.
It's a little much.
Oh my God.
I know it's
funny.
a little much.
Dissecting
but then I
each
just
word.
start therapizing everything.
Yeah.
So
they make you feel so comfortable.
They do.
He's like, he keeps talking in a way. It makes you feel like, I'm so validated.
Yes.
I don't use it like that, but I
You don't? You should.
No,
I'm not gonna lie. It has made me cry a couple times. Like, thank you. You've heard me.
They had this breakdown of like how generations are using ChatGPT, and like maybe like my millennial generation, they say they use it a little bit more like Google, maybe except for you, but it seems like you use it.
She's locked
use
in.
it more like Google, and then the younger gen, like Gen Z and below, tend to use it more like everyday counseling.
Yeah, it's everyday counseling for me. That's right. It's therapy every single day.
Where are they getting that information? Where's it coming from on ChatGPT? I mean, they're getting it off the internet. So how do you know if it's
It
legit?
aggregates kind of all of the internet's information.
That's the whole
Let me
AI
tell you this
problem.
much.
Right.
We can go, and I'm sure you probably know about attachment styles in therapy. I was between two. I was like, I'm a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And like, you talk to a couple of therapists, and you're like, I still don't know what I am. And you go in ChatGPT, and you put in all your qualities, but I feel like this, and I feel like that. It will literally tell you what kind of attachment style you have and help you work through it. And I'm like, okay, now give me workbooks and questions and activities I can do to work through this. It's free therapy, I'm telling you right now.
I get it.
It is beneficial.
It's beneficial.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you could get like addicted, I think.
I think I'm a little addicted.
Until you get attached to that. And
I think I'm
people.
I think I'm codependent.
She's going to marry the AI robot.
Go back to what we talked about, the story that came out, right? Was it Gen Z's 80% want to marry their AI? Was it
80%? That sounds...
No, it was on.
That will happen.
It was on the Forbes.
That will be a stat. I'm almost sure it's certain.
No, they came up with that. It was Forbes. It was Gen Z, right? I'm thinking the right group.
I might be the 80th percent.
You're the 80th%.
Do y'all remember that?
You put them over the top? Is that what it is? Gen Z. No, it's 79% Jay Z, and it's you.
And then Bianca.
You put them at 80. That's how it works.
She's not
what
Gen
Z. Gen Z. Well, no. Which group was it? No, I said
Z.
to you. I know you're not Gen Z. That's my point.
I think it's
79% Gen Z, and then
there's
you,
me.
and then there's you.
Yeah.
You put them over the top to 80.
Look, I'm just a curious person.
That's true. That is true.
I think it's good to be strategic and know, but I think it gets a little murky when you start overanalyzing everything. I'm not saying that take you out of it. Like,
no, you put me in it.
Dating,
Put me in
dating
just throw her in the hole.
I
don't know
well
enough.
You're
putting her in it and just say it. Don't be nice. Just throw her in.
Therapy every day with ChatGPT. I think
true.
you probably can tell that I probably overanalyze everything.
But I think that then you start to get down the path. Even like when you were saying like the attachment styles, which I can appreciate. But I think when they become overused, you start to like, and therapy I think is great in general, but when you start doing it too much for too long, you start to categorize yourself, and it's almost like a predestination.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm predestined to be this, therefore I am. And then you kind of just accept ways. Whereas I'm along the way of more of like, you kind of have to adapt for the things you want. And like someone may have an avoidant tendency or attachment style, but I don't like the categorization and like clumpy, because I think for some people, it makes them want to like be
stay in that
like
way.
Yeah, it's like this is who I am. And I got this
right.
since I was 3 and 4. It's like I can't get out of it.
But the
I'm
thing,
like,
well, here's the flip side of it, because the thing with therapy is like once you get put in a category like that, the goal is to always become secure. So if you're not working to get out of that stereotype or that categorization, then you'll get stuck there.
Sure.
So the goal is to always become more secure and more confident.
Yes.
And get
and just identify it.
Yeah.
Like not have it as an excuse, but identify it and then recognize when you're acting out of that place and then switch. Let's go.
Guys, we're
Lou,
keeping this a
Hold
little.
on. No, I'm going to give you my thing on that. Calm down, you two. Listen, no, I don't see how you get that on a computer, on an AI. You get confidence by talking to people. I know I'm an old man here, but in the 80s, we talked to people. In the 70s, we talked to people. I don't understand. Everything's phone, attachments. I need some shrink to tell me blah, blah, blah. No.
Lou,
you know yourself. You know yourself.
The thing is, you actually don't fully know yourself, and that's what therapy is
but the
for.
relationship, the computer's not going to help you in a long-term relationship.
You want to tell that to ChatGPT?
Tell her
Tell
that.
it to my
Tell
face.
ChatGPT.
Tell it to my face.
You know, go ahead.
Tell it to the phone.
Where's your phone? I'll tell it right now.
That's her husband you're talking about.
No, I'm serious. And then,
Watch your
here's
words,
the other
watch your
question.
words.
Okay, so maybe it helps you with the confidence and the whole dating thing. That sounds beautiful, and you go make a date, and you're doing this. But what about long-term? The long-term thing is still you. You have to have that relationship, that one-on-one relationship where you feel strong.
Well, let me ask you a question. How is your long-term relationship right now?
Mine sucks. That's how I know this. So I'm just telling you, the long-term is hard. You can do all the dating. Most of all, dating's phony. Yeah, let's be honest.
Oh,
it's all
hold
BS.
on. You're telling a dating coach right now that dating is phony.
Yeah.
I feel like you might
What
want
do you?
to.
No,
What do you mean dating
but
is
he's
phony?
great-
But I can
he's
comment.
he's a
90 Day
great-
Fiancé or
he's
what?
good at what he says, and I agree with most. I came in this thinking I got to smack this guy down. But the truth of the matter is, everything this guy says makes a lot of sense to me. And we talked even beforehand.
Yeah, we didn't want to admit this to each other. This is why we're
Yeah.
here.
No, but I'm
This
saying
is why
to you
it's
though,
their
but I
ego.
still believe
It's
in
the
the end,
ego.
you can throw the chat GDPs and all the whatever the hell the letters they are. I don't give a crap. The point is, it's still one-on-one relationship and how much the red flags you catch. Because everyone has a red flag.
You
Ooh,
brought
let's
up-
talk
you brought
about
up a
red
good point. I know we've been
flags.
keeping it a little bit PG right now, so now it's
Yeah,
time to
we've been
turn it
too
up
PG.
to
You guys
PG-13.
cutie cute and your computers. Let's get reality.
Okay.
Red flags, relationships, marriage, and how it doesn't last.
Oh, okay. Well, we're taking a very
Hot take.
okay, I don't know.
I don't know if
we
that's a
should
hot take
go
or just
that
reality.
way.
No, it is. I mean, 60% of marriages end in
See,
divorce.
I said 50. She went 60.
It is
we're
60.
killing them
No,
off as
it's
we
climbed.
speak here.
It's
Well, I
climbed.
do have to
Yeah,
shout
60.
out Carlo Gamino, because he said the problem with most men is they're not sex symbols like Bill Belichick. So
This
that's
seems to be
why.
an ongoing topic. I love it.
That's why.
We talk about
You-
every time I'm on this podcast. We talk about Bill Belichick.
You said date older.
Yeah, you can't.
Hey, I'm not
That
hating on
old?
how old you go. I'm not
Is it
here to
healthy?
You're
judge.
really not
But hold
hating on
is
it.
is that healthy?
I mean, no. I mean, what I want. I mean,
Yes.
but the thing is, right? Like, would I want my daughter dating him? No, absolutely.
Oh, my daughter would get smacked in the head. She'd be dragged out of this.
Absolutely
That's funny.
Yeah.
You think we're going to let her date that guy? Well, you know what? Look, if they're happy.
Okay, wow, you switched
was a
up
switch.
really quick.
Switched up.
You switched up
I
really
gotta-
quick.
my daughter
She's-
watches this
you know
podcast, so
what?
I had to back off a little bit.
In her like 8 houses
Well, I'd be
that
like,
she's
give me a
bought, she's
break.
probably.
Can you
she's
imagine?
probably pretty
Can you
happy.
imagine her bringing him to a family event? Her family, I'm talking about.
Yeah, her grandpa and him are probably cutting it
They're
up.
probably hanging
Yeah.
out, talking
They're
football,
like-
and they love
The
every
good old
bit of
days.
it. The good old
Every
days
Times
of
before
Patriots
cell
football.
phones and-
What was Tom
Yeah.
like? Yeah, so they
Bill
probably
coming
do
over
like
tonight?
it.
Yeah, Bill coming tonight? That's
Bill's coming in. We're going to be
Yeah.
hanging out by the fire, me and
fucking
Bill.
hilarious.
Grandpa's going
How
to
did
put
they
his
meet-
teeth in and have a grand old
How did they
time.
meet again, on a plane or something?
Okay,
Allegedly.
well that's
No one knows.
allegedly.
Oh, okay, I don't
yeah.
know.
So but they try to ask her about how you guys actually met. She completely shut it down. So I just.
She was running the interview, right?
Yeah. She said we will not be talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there an age limit? Is there a healthy age limit for how high you
I mean, I don't really know. I don't like the.
You don't want to put like a limit.
I just think it depends on phase of life, right? So for example, like a lot of women that are maybe like that I speak to that are like 45, 50 that date like 30-year-old men, like they could do that. Nobody's here to judge them, but when they start to expect like this guy's going to commit to me, I just seen this thing fall so many times.
Yeah, because
I'm not saying
it's usually bent on money.
Right, and it's usually like, well, he's a hot young guy and he's fun, and he's not like these older guys that are just like lazy and don't want to do shit. Whereas these guys are fun. I'm like, yeah, he's not.
And then she goes out. She's dating the other way around. She's dating an older guy, and next thing you know, the guy's 80 or whatever he is, and she's in her 30s. No, be honest. Yeah. And they go out together in the club. They go to a bar, and she picks up whatever young guy they can, has whatever she got to do, and then she goes back. That's how. I mean, that's
do
what they do.
Do you know this by personal experience?
Wait, what are we going into right
actually,
now?
yes, and I'll leave it at that. And I'll leave it at that. That was the 80s.
Actually, yes.
Actually, yes, and I see how that works, and that works. Yes,
well,
I would tell that story, but with PG.
Well, it's not healthy, but Viagra helps.
Oops.
That's from Jay, so that's not
Thanks
PG.
for the tip,
Thanks,
Jay.
Thanks, Jay. We didn't know that at all.
Have Bill on
I should know that.
Okay, so in terms of, you just talked about, I guess, older women dating younger. What about, let's just in general, guys in their 30s? What phase of life are they going through right now? Should that just be a red flag in general?
What, the guys in their 30s?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Why would it be? You tell me.
Well, because you're saying that maybe they're not ready to commit.
What about
maybe they're
guys
Well,
in
I
their
think-
20s?
That's true.
Are guys in their 20s ready to commit from your experience? Or?
Well, I mean, I'm a pretty special girl.
There's always exceptions to the rule.
No, or they think they're ready, but they don't actually know how to operate in a healthy, committed relationship.
Sure.
So that, they think they are.
Do you think a lot of women are ready in their 20s to want to be in a relationship?
Yes.
Not to want to be.
Yes.
Oh,
A million
I think
percent.
they think they are, but no.
From my experience, actually, it depends right where you are, but in bigger cities, a lot of girls in their 20s don't want a relationship. They say they do, but in reality, I think they want to advance their career, which is fair enough. I love that. But when it comes to commitment, they kind of want to have a little bit of fun and maybe they meet a guy along the way. But I've just seen patterns of not wanting to until they get ready, and I don't see them being ready yet.
What's the
In New
age of
York.
being ready?
Yeah, like in New York.
I'm from Georgia. Everyone's married and kid number 3 on the way.
100%. But it's almost like, right, people come to places like New York because they want to advance themselves professionally or do something, right? And that's kind of the basis here.
And there's more to do here.
And there's a lot more to do.
And that changes everything.
Okay, let's get to spicy text, because we're going to send you right now.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a text that you regret sending someone? In terms of texting back and forth, we can overanalyze this stuff, and people love to overanalyze texts. It's not just me. Any text that you send that you were just like, you've changed your way of thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore.
I don't want to sound too extreme on one end, but I really don't. I don't even think about it when I send. I'd never go back and be like, should I send that?
That's a
So
beautiful
is
life.
this only a girl's?
It's mostly a girl's thing. I mean, I don't know.
No, I agree with you.
Lou is not thinking about the text.
I'm not texting anyone, but no, I agree with you. I think if you feel comfortable, send it. And if it's bad, okay. But if you feel like it's yours and you want to say this, say it. And if it backfires, well, then you move on.
Okay.
I feel
That's
like
a guy
months down
thing,
the line,
ladies.
I'll-
I think it is a little bit more of a guy thing than because
That's definitely a guy thing.
I know girls that I talked to a girl 2 days ago that was literally like, I draft what I'm going to say in notes so I don't respond emotionally.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, the next day, I will take that no matter how I feel and I'll put it in and I'll send it. I was like, what?
It's like I
I don't know. It just blew my mind.
No,
was
I
like,
think
yeah,
that's
I
good
guess.
though. Let yourself calm down.
It's also drinking and texting doesn't
Oh,
always
speaking of
work. So
drinking-
you're better off texting, drafting if you know when you've been partying at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right.
I've drafted text to send when I'm ready.
We have some drafts on the table.
When you're sober.
When I'm
If you'd like.
more
yeah.
like I'll
That's
draft it when I'm sober. Then I go out. I'm like, I'm ready to send.
Usually after a few beers,
After a few drinks, I'm like,
few
all
drinks
right,
later,
I'll send
I'm
it
good
now.
enough. I'm confident
Yeah.
enough to send it. That makes
so
sense.
so are you saying that maybe pausing and reflecting and drafting, that may not be a good thing?
I think it's always a good thing in balance, but when it gets to be a little too much, where every word you have to dissect and say, what girls will come to me and be like, oh, I said this word. Do you think it was this word that turned him off? I was like, you think he gives a fuck about your word?
Yeah.
He likes you or he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. You could dress stupid shit. You
Yeah,
could say
I
stupid
agree.
shit. You can do stupid shit and he'll be like, she's cute, isn't she?
Okay, let's get into that then.
No, there's
How-
a game to be played.
Wait a minute, one last, real quick. So texting like that when you draft, That's a lack of confidence. Going back to what we talked about.
No.
You don't feel confident. Yes, it's a lack of
Sometimes you just have to
confidence.
check
If you
your
feel confident in what you're
emotions.
going to say, send it.
Sometimes you got to check your emotions.
No, sometimes I'll feel really strongly about something, and I've drafted something out, and then I'm like, this guy doesn't deserve that from me, and so I just like won't respond. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's better off to just think about it and then regroup,
let
But
the
then
emotions
the
pass.
guy wasn't. worth it
and
to
then
begin
respond.
with.
Okay.
So then truthfully, if he's not worthy of it, then you waste your time even doing the draft.
But I'm glad. No, but I'm glad I didn't give him the satisfaction of knowing how much I cared.
Okay.
I'd rather just be cool.
Hold on. I see you raising your eyebrows at this
Thank
right now
you. I'm
because
glad
I
he is.
know.
Thank God.
I know
I'm
that
not the
you're
only one
saying-
raising my eyebrows
I know
on
that
that
you're
one.
thinking in your mind, that's playing games.
Well, yeah, of course, right? And like, there's always a little bit of back and forth. And when it gets to a point where you're doing it for a specific reason. Essentially, that's not to say your specific scenario, but when people do things to get reactions from people, that's manipulation.
100%. I love
There
it.
you go. Oh, she doesn't even hide the fact she's manipulative.
Yeah,
I love that. That's what,
I'm
that's,
an
that's what
athlete.
makes
I
her what
love
she
games.
is.
And I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
I love it. You just own it. I
She's
love
all
people
into the
doing it.
games
Own
people
that.
play. The games Liv plays.
Well, I
like
was
it.
playing, it was one-on-one. It wasn't like I was playing game and he wasn't. That was back, that was in my younger 20s.
That was when you were younger.
Yeah. It was
my younger
Yeah.
days.
Like when you
my
were younger days.
Back in the old days.
Okay.
I love it.
What's the difference between manipulating someone and just really trying to get someone to maybe open up to you? Like,
Yeah, I could see that. I think there's just the way your communication style, like how you communicate with somebody. Are you being more honest and forthcoming? It doesn't mean you have to volunteer everything.
Yeah.
But I think if you're doing things continuously in order to get a reaction from somebody, it kind of goes down the road of manipulation. In my opinion.
I saw this on your social media, the
Which one?
silent treatment, like the no
yeah.
response back.
But I think it's a little immature. I think it's very immature. So I think that's a form of manipulation. I feel like you're doing it because I would have this thought, and I believe it to be true, is that you can't game his interest. I'm talking about him when I say him, just the guy. I know a lot of girls think, but if I do and I do and I do, and I say, listen, if you do all that, okay, he chases you for a little bit, and then he gets what he wants, and then he decides if the investment was worth it. So why would you do this? Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. You're putting way too much thought into like trying to get his interest in these ways. Either he starts to like you or he doesn't like you. But it's not going to be because you said one word here or you made him wait 2 days for your response.
Yeah.
Give me a break. And if he is adapting to that, if he's adapting and all of a sudden he's now showing interest, he's reactive to you, right?
We'll cheers to that. We'll cheers to that one.
I think she agrees because she's shrinking.
Oh, do you? I don't know.
No, I agree.
That's what I said. I think she
But I
agrees
think,
because she's
a
shrinking to it.
lot of women do try to do the silent treatment, not respond. I'm going to play it really cool, but you are trying to get something out of it when you could just be upfront and be like, these are my emotional needs. Like, can you meet me here? If not, then like it's cool. I
think it speaks a lot of confidence when women can communicate properly. I think that gives an obligation to a guy of like, I know how to deal with her now. Now, if you don't do that, he's like, I don't really know how to deal with her. She doesn't have these points where it's like, I could do that, I can get away with that, I can't. Like if a girl's just like, hey, listen, I'm honestly, I didn't really appreciate that you did that, but no worries. In order to move forward, this is kind of what I'm looking for and what I would expect. And that's respectable. Like a guy would be that, I'm like, wow, it makes me want to do if I like her, and if not, it makes me want to not.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So maybe you should talk about like the biggest. I guess you talk to all these women weekly. What's the number one thing that they're saying is like the hardest part about dating? Is it like not understanding if a guy likes you enough? Do I keep pursuing? When do I drop off? Like, what would it be?
It's typically not getting the dates, right? It's typically keeping the guys that they like, or like understanding the guys that they like.
Yeah.
So like they choose a guy to take them out. Hopefully he pays. I don't care if he pays or not. But the point is, she chooses the guy they go out with, and then she's kind of like, in her mind, I've chosen this guy. I like this guy enough. Now we go on a date 2 and a date 3. So I think there's this part of like after date 2 and 3, in the first like 2 to 3 months, that there's like a level of anxiety and uncertainty that they tend to have around, well, what's he thinking? Well, what's that mean? I didn't hear from him for 12 hours. What's that mean? And there's like this built up story around it, and I can understand that. But I think that seems to be where all the problems lie.
I could see that.
Most of the problems.
So how do you help them through that problem?
What
do they have to do?
I feel like I make it a little more simple, right? Part of my stuff is like, I kind of sometimes oversimplify it, but that's kind of the point, right? You kind of have to go to the extreme to make the point, which is, well, how do you know if he's interested? Well, does he take you out? Number one. If he doesn't take you out, he's not interested. I don't care what he does. I don't care if he FaceTimes you. I don't care if he texts you. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the 2025 thing. No.
The 2025 thing.
Relax, you.
What are you talking about?
If you're worried, I'm serious.
Sure.
So a woman is worried, she hasn't heard back from 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours. Why doesn't she pick up the phone and call him? Why not make the aggression? It's there's days where the guy has to call back. Yep. That's the old days. All right? But now if you really want a guy, and that's what you want to do, pick up the phone.
No one wants to be desperate.
Oh, relax. You're not about desperate. It's about if you like him, call him.
Are you serious?
No, because what if you've already called him 3 times? That's like borderline
we didn't call
stalking.
him 3 times. You said he's waiting. He said they're waiting. He hasn't called 12 hours, 15 hours, and I don't know why he's not counting. He's not calling me. And you're thinking about that. Call him.
Are you serious?
Oh God! Why not?
Well, we have a dating expert right in front of us.
Well, no, I don't fully disagree with him. I don't know about the call because a lot of the way people
stay in your lane. He's going to answer the question.
The way people correlate, I have a different perspective, right? Because I have this similar to him in a way that I do believe we've gotten to a point where a lot of women don't want to do shit. So let's just call it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to do anything.
They want to be.
They just want to
be. They want to be rude. They want all this other BS. Be aggressive.
But that's why I say you have to show interest or reciprocate interest. I didn't say you have to lead interest, but you have to reciprocate interest.
Take notes, you two.
For the kind of guys you want, they're not going to think about it, right? In my opinion, from what I've seen, the guys that are willing to just keep showing when it's not being reciprocated are not guys you want.
No, they're saps.
They're not.
They keep going like little baby puppy dogs. You don't
No,
want those
it's
guys.
not
No, I'm
that.
serious. You don't. They
Saps.
keep they're calling you up. They're being sad. You don't want that. You want a guy who you connect with. Not some guy who's going to be like calling you, I miss you, and all. You don't want that.
For the guys that they like, they're willing to do a little bit more and break the rules that they've originally had for the guys they don't like.
Because it's a relationship thing.
Okay,
It's a soulmate thing.
last hot take. Sleeping with a guy on a first date. Green flag, red flag.
Well, no, it's never a safe place to do that because you don't really know how he's going to respond or know how interested he is in you, right? So, can it happen? Of course it can. Does that mean it's over? No, because the guy could really like you still, but you haven't seen enough of his patterns to be able to make that kind of call, right? It's just more risky for you to sleep with a dude after a first date. Why would you do that if you don't feel like you really want to? But I always say this because this is always the topic, right? It's like when to sleep with the guy.
Yeah.
When should you sleep with him? And my answer is pretty consistent, but I don't like to give the number thing because I think it doesn't really work that way. But I do like to give the place, and I always say, once you feel like you are in a place to make the decision and it were to go sour and you can deal with it, then you can choose to sleep. If you don't feel that way, you don't sleep with any man. That's what I would say to my sister.
You get older women call you, like divorcees and things like that?
Yeah. 50s, 60s, 70s.
I've been told, I've never done the dating apps and all that stuff. But I know guys who have. Mm-hmm. And they tell me point blank, if there's a divorcee who's in their 40s, whatever, they know that woman's going to sleep with him on the first date because they know.
So messed up.
It's so true.
So messed
and they
up.
tell me they know that because they feel, and I'm just telling you what guys have told me and women have told them, they feel if they don't, and it's because they're on a dating app, they're going to lose him. Have you heard that?
Interesting.
Has that been there?
Wow. Yes. It depends on that phase of bracket. I have heard that.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of women, maybe they've just watched my stuff enough to know that, they until they're ready to do that and deal with it, if it were to go sour, I just don't feel like they should do it because they can't deal with that, right? Sometimes you feel like, oh, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? And if you're not ready to deal with it, I don't think you should. But I do see that as happening.
I mean, if it's two people who just want to have fun, then whatever.
Maybe that's why they're on a dating app.
That's
true. Maybe they've been divorced. They don't want to have a full-time, full-blown relationship, and maybe that's why they're on the dating app.
Okay, well, make sure you put that in your bio, so people
No, you're not
bypass that.
No guy would ever do that.
That's
but
not
some
happening.
do. But
it ain't happening. Come on,
Just
stop
looking
it.
for fun.
No, hold
Just
on.
looking for good
Tell the point blank. There ain't a guy in the world that's going to say that.
That is not true. That is not true.
What? That they're going to put down on their thing? I like pets. I like my mother, and I'll only date you if I can sleep with you. And then,
for the guys or the
done.
girls?
And when we're done, we're done.
Are you saying
kidding me? It's not going to be in their profile? What is that?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that men wouldn't like it if that was in a girl's profile.
Oh,
And I was
no,
like,
I'm
no,
saying
they love
guys
that.
are not going to put that in their profile. That's what I'm saying to you.
A lot of them do.
Well, no, if a girl puts that in the profile, I sleep on the first date, they're going to get
No,
get 2,000 responses. What are you talking about?
You can say what you're looking for.
It says, I sleep, blah, blah, blah. I love guys, strong guys, nice guys with no gray hair, and I sleep with anyone. You're going to get a list. Your phone will not stop
That's a
ringing.
different app. That's a different app.
If this man ever has to make a dating profile,
I love it.
please
I love
come
it.
and help him
if I
out.
put that dating app up, I'd make millions. Let's get real.
I kind of think you would. Man.
Thank you. See, the dating guy. That's why I'm sitting next to the dating guy, because you two are out of touch.
No, you need help.
I know, it's very
I'm
unfair.
dating with the one sitting with the one guy that actually makes sense to me. You two, I can't figure it out.
When was
What
the
are you
last-
saying?
You haven't been dating in decades.
Right. Thank God for that. That's true.
So you're out of touch.
No, but I know people who are. I know people who are dating. I know divorcees. I know it.
Okay, I keep
out of
saying.
touch. There's no change.
I keep saying,
Yes,
we
there's been
have
a lot of
definitely went
change.
over
There's
our
no
time limit.
change.
And
In the
You
end,
didn't have Tinder. You didn't have Tinder or Bumble or
Thank
Hinge
God.
or Raya or
Thank
Different
Instagram.
world. I agree. Very different
Thank
world.
God.
You
That's
had
all I'm
none
going
of
to
that.
say. No, I'm telling you, that has ruined. That has ruined relationships.
how did you pick up girls at the disco? That's a good question.
At the disco.
Dance moves
At
or
the
what?
disco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at
Wow,
the
that was-
disco.
You
Yeah,
know,
we'll keep that a
Club
secret.
54, Studio 54.
I actually had been to Studio 54, and yeah, I don't know what you're all
So
talking
how'd
about.
you-
And we're going to leave that alone there. We're not going to go into that whole slide.
Hilarious.
What was your pickup line?
No, I'm not going to go.
He's like,
I'm not
on.
going there. No, honestly, most guys, you go to clubs. Honestly, no.
Someone's getting
Back
shy.
then, no, I'm not shy. I'm gonna be honest. If you picked up a girl from a club, if back in the 70s, when I was in high school, later on the 80s in college, and you picked up a girl from the club, you were not thinking any more than having sex. You're not looking for a relationship. Most good relationships, strong relationships, happen in school, happen in work, happen in people you know. The best relationships are the ones where you don't even date right away. You get to meet, talk, and get a feel for the fact that you and I have a relationship that we seem to be hitting it off. You have things that you like, I have things I like, with different personalities, and that worked. Dating apps, to me, is nothing more than a 1-800 number.
It's kind of gamified dating a little bit. So I
No, but I'm saying, so you asked me
yeah.
what the pickup line was. The pickup line was, it didn't matter.
But I feel like a lot of my parents and their friends met at bars.
Yeah,
you
at the
could.
disco.
Well, back in the day, it was
It's
a little different,
possible,
right?
yeah. I mean, it was
My
different then.
first long-term relationship was at the club.
Can I tell you something?
club.
I found love in a hopeless place.
No, I'm going to make another point there, because you know when everything changed, a lot changed? It was in the mid-'80s when AIDS came around. I don't want to get too deep, but that
Whoa, you
changed.
went there.
Well, I went there. No, it was much freer. People did a lot more things, and that changed a lot. Mm-hmm. And then it became different. People reacted differently. So yeah, in the 70s, it was the wild, wild west. Trust me. The 80s changed things.
80s.
I will tell you what I've seen, really random side note, that's been very recent, but I've seen about 4 stories like this that women have called into my show with. Flabbergasting. There have been girls. There have been girls who call in, and there are guys that are paraplegics that are pulling girls out here. The average Joe is like having issues, and these guys in wheelchairs are slaying it down.
I've seen a guy on TikTok in a wheelchair.
I have.
Who
Unreal.
was like
girlfriend.
No, it wasn't. He doesn't have. He was like making a boyfriend application.
Oh.
He was. I mean, he was a cutie, and the comments were filled.
How are they? How are they doing this?
Why?
It's hilarious. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I could just hear it from her perspective. She's like, yeah, I really like him. And then I'll dig a little bit. I'll be like, what's he do? We got money? Most of them have a little bit, but they're not like rich.
Yeah.
But I say, so wait, how does this work? How do you guys?
Yeah.
She's like, well, I help him get into bed, and he lays there. I say, what? He's like, yeah, he just lays there. I say, wow, and you really like? She's like, something about me really likes it. I don't know.
Is it a safety thing? Like they feel more comfortable?
Maybe they feel like motherly.
safe?
I don't know.
think-
There's
no, I
something
They
think
feel
some
like the
people
guy's
love
not
to
going to
take
cheat
care
on
of-
him and things like that.
But he does, and he did.
What?
There were two
Cheated
dudes.
on
There
her?
were 2 dudes in wheelchairs. I'm sorry, no.
Wow.
There were 2 paraplegic guys that cheated on 2 pretty girls. Pretty girls.
See, they got too cocky.
They went out, and she's like, "Yeah, I found him with another girl." Pushed him around. I said, "What?"
Pushing him around. That's part of the requisite.
I'm not
That's part of the Tinder list, blah, blah, blah. And need someone strong who can
Those
push
are
me
my
around.
handlebars.
I am not kidding about this either. So there's been like a thing where maybe it's like a motherly, like want to add value or want to something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's come from, but I've seen 4 in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And that's not a lot, but
But
Wow.
it's
significant amount to bring up.
It's a bit of a trend.
Men might want to rent a wheelchair or something.
That's what I said. I said, fellas, get a wheelchair because you ain't
He's
doing it
gonna
as
be
your
out in a
average Joe.
wheelchair.
Yeah,
We're gonna see you at the bar later,
Rolling around. You're going to be rolling down.
lying.
Women on your
Oh my
lap.
God. Hilarious. Well,
Okay.
It seems to work.
I
so.
feel like we've kept you here far longer than we
Yeah,
said
than we
we
promised.
would. Before you go, real fast, as we're heading to summer, I know we talked about this on the noon, but some tips for women going to summer in the dating? Because I feel like sometimes that gets like the wild, like I'm having my hot girl summer type thing. But is that like the plan? Is that what we should be doing, single women?
I think it depends on what phase you're in, but in general, like number one is I'm going to leave the two out that I said, but like number one is if you don't know what it is you want, it's going to be very hard to date. If you become like a leaf and life just kind of takes over, and then you end up in an F-boy situation here, a situationship over here, and then complain about the guys later. In reality, I asked you what you want, and you said, I don't know, I just kind of feeling things out. I said, well, that's your problem. Like in everything else, you got to identify outcome. What is it you want? And with this, it's just that people don't really think about dating that way. They think about it in like, I want it to be like Aladdin. I want it to be more magical. It's like, well, we've kind of lost that in some capacity, and the internet has kind of brought that down a little bit. So you have to be a little more strategic and purposeful when it comes to how you date and how you select and what you want from dating. So if you don't know what you want, you can't even think about who you need to become to get it. So number one, what do you want, and then who do you need to become to get it? I don't care what you want. I'm not here to judge it. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to use the one I said on the show, which is essentially you got to get rid of your toxic ass friends and friends groups that are holding you back. Because I've seen too much of this shit where women will be like, oh yeah, this, and their friends will talk them out of a good situation just because to keep them. Oh yeah, I've seen plenty of those.
Oh yeah,
plenty of them.
Girls like to have their friends single.
Because I see it when
they do.
My daughter had friends like that, and they've done that, and because they're jealousy. A lot of it's jealousy.
Well, I'm also very protective of my friends. So when men go after them, I'm like, I don't trust them. But like, there's really no good reason to not.
But my daughter's friends are the same way.
messed up.
They do that a lot. That's not unusual.
Like what?
Because I think that there is like a phase where that happens more than it happens. It happens a little like earlier than it does later, from what I see. But that I think is holding a lot of people back, right? And plus too, like I was on a podcast maybe like a month ago, and I was like, well, what would you tell women? I mean, well, first off, number one, the best thing I would say is just get offline for a bit. Eliminate all of it. Matter of fact, you'd be so much better off if you just took yourself out into the world and without all the influences and everything and knowing what to do and overthinking every little detail. Even shut me off if you got to shut me off. I don't really care, but you'd get better results just going outside.
I like that.
That I agree with.
The hot summer.
That I agree with.
Make use some deodorant.
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 We don't need that. No, that's.
I don't need that. Fuck that.
No, honestly, that makes total sense.
Well, we really appreciate you coming here and chatting with us about all this stuff.
Yeah, it was fun.
Sounds like we all need some help.
It was fun.
Everybody.
You got ChatGPT. You're good.
Yeah. I'm married
You'll
to
be happy.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
People are gonna get married to their ChatGPTs in the future. That's good.
I might be the first.
And I'll be there walking Bianca down the aisle
with the phone.
That's
I like to watch that. That'd be good. I'll come.
Kiss the bride. Just the phone.
It's gonna integrate into those like bots, like they're gonna like integrate.
100%.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that might be me.
They're so human. Like I've seen these bots that are so even to the skin. It's wild.
So you guys will all be at the wedding. Thank you so
This
much.
will be the spread.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast with the ChatGPT robot. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's great. It's great.
Amazing.
All right, stay tuned. Kicking and Screaming next week. I don't know. I think we need to keep talking about dating. I'm kind of over sports for a bit. But that's just me.
I love it.
Lou loves going down this rabbit hole.
Or let's talk about like relationships in sports. We talk
That's what I said. There's a lot.
We can talk about Bill again.
Relationships in sports is that's what
the worst athletes to date.
It's not just Belichick. It's athletes. It's also the toxic is the word. There have been many toxic relationships that have taken down teams.
Well, we're already getting to the next podcast right now, so should we just
really
go into it? I don't know. Stay tuned. Kicking and Screaming coming to you next week, and thanks for joining us.